Egg chops down my tree costs her £500,000, $700,000. It's been 2 years and I can finally post about this. This is juicy, so get ready. Background information. We live in an old and big manor that has been split into 3 attached houses. The houses are about 150 years old and were built around 5 huge giant sequoias which were about 200 years old. In the UK, giant sequoias are very rare, and the 2 in our garden up the house price by about £60,000. We lived next to 2 really nice neighbors, one young couple and one old couple. The story. Unfortunately, our old neighbors passed away, so their child and her family moved in. Let's call her Jo. Jo was instantly a pain in the ass. We had been sharing chickens with the previous neighbors, and Jo agreed to keep sharing them. However, on her night she would constantly forget to put them away, so we would have to check them every night anyway. One night our little brats thought it would be funny to open our personal duck pen in the night, which leads to a mass slaughter. Later the chickens went the same way. About 2 years ago there was a storm, and one of her sequoias somehow fell over and died. They were distraught, understandably, but from then on, the jealousy started. She would constantly complain about how lucky we were to have 2 sequoias in our garden, and how our sequoia was making too much shade in their garden. It wasn't, anyway. We just thought it was Jo being a pain. There were a few dry threats like they will chop it down, or maybe the next storm will blow it down. Until we came back from a holiday to France to find a huge 6-meter stump and nothing else. I mean, how the fuck do you get rid of a 100-foot tree in like 2 weeks? 2 of our old British oak trees had been crushed as well. My mum and sisters were crying, my dad were red in the face, and we had no evidence Jo had done it. She claimed that there had been a storm, and she had to get rid of it. We had a security camera at the front of the house, but you can get in the back if you go through a few fields. We then were given an £8,000 bill for damages to her property, and to have the tree chopped up and remove the wood alone would have been worth a small fortune. We had lost all hope and 2 weeks had passed when my dad came running in from the garden. We had put up a wildlife camera a few months ago and had caught everything. We got a lawyer on the phone and started our revenge. We got a tree surgeon out who said it was an original specimen brought into the UK in 1860, along with the 2 that were in Elveston Castle Country Park. There were 218 around the UK, but only 60 now. He also told us to call out an engineer because the roots might be in the foundation, so when they rot, it could damage the house. Turns out we would need to redo the foundations. Then we took Jo to court and sued them for damage to property, trespassing and lots of other smaller claims. The tree would cost $250,000 to have another sequoia that was 200 years put in and looked after. It's basically impossible, plus the damage to the foundation which was $200,000, and the 2 oaks which were another $25,000, so with the smaller claims, it went to about £500,000, $700,000. They had to move out. And we have now paid off the mortgage, done a lovely loft and kitchen conversion, and have basically done up the house and garden, as well as plant a 60-year-old sequoia tree in the back garden. We also had our kitchen counter and table made from the old sequoia. We now have a new lovely family living next to us who we share chickens, ducks and pygmy goats with. They're very nice, and I make a fortune babysitting their kids. Sorry for the essay. I got a classmate to the verge of expulsion. Some context for this story. I used to study in Dubai, only until high school though. It was a school day, and break lunchtime just ended, so as everyone is returning to the classroom they're still pretty rowdy. There was about 10 minutes left until our next class was about to start. I want to state that in our school, for some inexplicable reason, graduates, grade 3 to 9, somehow have the energy of a cheetah that's high on something. So whenever there was free time, God forbid a free class, all hell would break loose. Jumping on tables, throwing metal rulers and compasses, shouting, etc. For some reason I don't know, they love spraying deodorant for no reason, and I hated it. The smell would just get trapped inside the classroom, and it smelled so strong, since they would use half the damn can every time. I asked for them to stop, and the one who was spraying it went up to my face, pulled the front of my shirt, and proceeded to spray the thing for a good 10 seconds. I couldn't breathe, but it didn't hurt much. Here's where the revenge comes in. I have always built up a pretty good relationship with teachers by being an actual student. I have atopic dermatitis, which is basically skin asthma, where my skin would turn red from exposure to sweat, dust, etc. I decided that I was sick of the deodorant they were spraying, so I decided to wait outside the class. Lo and behold, our French teacher, who was considered to be one of the strictest in the school at the time and our next class, comes up the stairs and sees me crouched up against the wall while writing down notes. They loudly asked, "What are you doing out here and not in class?" I explained to them that I couldn't handle whatever it was that they were spraying inside the class, since I have asthma, didn't specify that it was skin asthma and not respiratory. They immediately opens up the room and closes the door, leaving me outside. I could hear the shouting towards specifically the name of the person who was spraying the deodorant. A few seconds later she comes out and tells me to go down the stairs and go outside to catch some fresh air and to come back whenever I'm feeling better. So for the 1-hour class, I spent around 20 minutes of it free. As I was heading back, I saw the person spraying the can come out of the supervisor's office and holding an envelope, a warning letter. I had gotten one before for fighting with another student 2 to 3 years before this incident, so I was both amazed and shocked that I managed to get them issued a warning letter. Warning letters are dreaded in our school for 2 reasons. First is that if you ever get any more than 3 in a school year, you will be expelled, there's progression of punishments, and that the student needs to present them the next school day signed to the supervisor. The person who got issued the warning letter already had 2, so he was on his 3rd. As that class ended, I talked to my group about what happened, and we all had a laugh. Like and subscribe for more. See you on next video.